Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and yesterday we were finally given the privilege of being able to listen to the song for the Netherlands for Eurovision 2016, and this year they're taking basically the exact opposite approach compared to 2015, where instead of being one of the first to announce their artist and song, they revealed their artist at the start of the season, and then kept us in suspense until yesterday regarding how their song would sound. They didn't even leak the title or anything, which I suppose is impressive because a couple of other countries have been trying that same strategy and it's not been working out quite so well for them. Serbia, for example, there was a leak yesterday, I think, revealing the artist and the title of the song, but RTS are swearing that no, that's not official, we'll announce later, but we're not talking about them, we're talking about the Netherlands. So, in more ways than one, it seems like they're keeping things consistent with recent years by sending an artist whose name is a little bit tricky to pronounce for anyone who doesn't speak Dutch. This year, that name is Douwe Bob, and the song Slow Down, which is in English and, of course, doesn't require me to translate it. So, my first thoughts about this one then. Well, I won't go for the low-hanging fruit of accusing the Netherlands of trying to relive what the Common Linnets achieved in 2014, because that would be a really superficial complaint. Although I do think their success might have played some part in the decision for the Netherlands to go country again. And knowing what the Eurovision fandom is like, I think this song will inevitably be compared to Calm After the Storm, for better or for worse. On first listening, I'll readily admit that this song didn't grab me or keep me particularly interested, but I can appreciate on a technical level everything it does. It just doesn't entertain me personally, but that doesn't mean that it's not good. It's solidly composed, it's got a good vocalist behind it. Like a fair few Eurovision songs that I don't particularly like, I'll still happily admit that it is a good song, it's just not for me. Although, I have looked at the comments section underneath the official music video on the Eurovision channel, and some of this song's fans do seem a little bit insufferable, a little bit of the how dare you say something even remotely critical of this song because it is perfect, you know, that sort of mentality, and that's kind of not healthy because, well, this review's going to look at the good and the bad, like all my reviews do. But let's be fair about it. It's good, it's just not my sort of thing. But that doesn't mean it can't still have good points. So, what are they then? Well, amongst other things, I really like how the song starts with that sort of ticking noise. I think that'll lend itself really well to the staging, amongst other things, given how in 2014 they had a similar genre of song where the cinematography played a huge role in really making the song pop, as it were. Well, I think that'll work really well with that ticking noise at the start. And said ticking noise is just part of the composition that really reflects the atmosphere that the lyrics are trying to convey. And the way the music and the lyrics work together really drive home what I was saying about this song being really solidly composed. Rather than someone writing a backing track and then someone else writing words for it, or rather than someone writing a song and then someone else writing music around it, this song has a feeling in mind and delivers on it in every way that it can. It has a whole, solid, coherent, single entity kind of feel to it. Both as a whole and just with the lyrics by themselves too, the song presents a really good message that isn't one of the cliches usually brought up in Eurovision songs. It tells of relaxing in times of stress, to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and all that good jazz. It's a rare message and it's refreshing to see it brought up. And from a more musical perspective with respect to the lyrics, especially with how the refrain is put together, it's really easy for almost anyone to listen to and start singing along with before the end of the song, even if it's your first listening, which should mean that it's easily memorable and that it has the sort of atmosphere where the audience feels as though they're being included directly rather than as though they're on the outside looking into the song's world. It feels like you're part of the song, like Douwe Bob is singing with you rather than singing at you, if you know what I mean. What are the bad points though? Well, while I do like how the song starts, I do have a slight problem with how it progresses. In that once you get to the first refrain, that's about as much as the song develops it, so it doesn't really have anywhere to go stylistically for the remaining 2 minutes or so that you're listening to it. While that isn't particularly unusual for this genre, it does make it easy to tune out or write off as background music. And as a song of this genre, especially with this message in particular, it already sounds better suited to being played on the radio in a quiet cafe or something like that. Not unlike the scenes from the music video, actually. It just feels like it would work better in those contexts rather than on a Eurovision stage. I suppose you could make the argument that stylistically it's in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't imagine this working too well to engage the audience, especially first-time listeners who aren't necessarily into this genre. To that end, if you don't already like the genre, then the song doesn't really offer you the cookie, to bring back terminology from last year. That said, Come After the Storm was similar in a lot of ways, and that soared to second place overall, so I can't make these points with absolute certainty. What I can say, though, without a doubt, is that especially towards the end of the song, it does start to get a tad bit repetitive. Given that the refrain is already rather repetitive in and of itself by its very nature, hearing it twice or more in a row either starts to get a little bit grating, or at the very least just helps you to tune it out, depending on your stance and the style. Of course, if you like the song, then it's not a problem. But for people who haven't made up their minds about the genre yet, or for people who just straight up don't like it, it's not really going to go too well for them. And for first-time listeners and the generally attention-deficit-heavy world of Eurovision glitz, this song will probably struggle to make a first impression, but considering, again, the common limits, I can't guarantee that. So how would I personally rate it out of 10 then? What with my opinions and all that stuff? Well, I was originally going to rate it as an 8, but, and I know I'm not going to win any fans for saying this, having listened to it a few times, I'm more inclined to give it a 7. And a lot of that 7 comes from the fact that, like I said, it's composed really well, and it's got a great vocalist behind it, but sadly it just doesn't engage me. It's not my sort of thing, and it's not really a good gateway into the genre. I won't deny that it's a good representative of the genre, but I just don't imagine it being many people's first love of this style of music. It's not going to kickstart anyone's addiction to this particular genre. And since with Eurovision most people only hear your song once or twice at most, since some people don't watch the semi-finals, and that's assuming you qualify in the first instance, it needs to leave a stronger impression than this. I'd imagine that a lot of people feel more or less the way I do when I say, it's good, it's just not my sort of thing. I also imagine that a lot of people think, yes, you're right, it's good, but you're wrong for not enjoying it personally, and how dare you, blah, blah, blah. Like, can we not just respect people's opinions? Because I did see one comment on the video that said, oh, all you people who don't like this song, just shut up. Well, no, I've just offered an explanation as to why it's good and also why it doesn't appeal to me personally. Let's just be respectful of each other's opinions, okay? So how does it compare to last year? Well, as I said, I looked at the comments section under the official music video, and I've seen that this song has its fans, and that those fans are incredibly vocal about how great they think this song is. But in fairness to Tlijntje, I'm actually having a tough time deciding whether this is a decided improvement over Walk Along, or a step sideways, or what it is. Well, given that this song calls Come After the Storm to mind, it's very easy to forget that there actually was a song in between this one and that one, but yes, that's what I'm comparing it to, not the 2014 entry. So both songs do have their repetitive moments, and both songs peak very quickly when it comes to building up their instrumentation, and both have moments where they really shine. The key difference is, Slow Down has a more sound composition. It generally sounds more professional and atmospheric and all of that good stuff, whereas Walk Along had a broader appeal. Well, okay, the studio version had a broader appeal, at any rate. It was more upbeat and a little less niche in terms of style. However, with Walk Along, the team responsible for promoting it and staging it and all that, they made far too many mistakes with it. They cocked up the staging, the dress, all of it. It went from being tolerable to infamous. Meaning that Slow Down's strong composition makes it the far superior Eurovision entry, but of the two, I'd still rather listen to Walk Along personally, but Douwe Bob stands a much better chance at the contest. So, on that note, will it qualify? Well, if I were to factor out any previous years of the contest, if I were to just look at this year by itself, I'd find it fairly easy to say, no, despite how vocal this song's fans are about how amazingly brilliant it is, and Amsterdam 2017 and all of that stuff, it won't appeal to enough of the rest of the fandom to gain enough of a foothold to get points. Since this song requires patience and concentration to appreciate, and most fans won't be willing to spare it that much in terms of giving it the time and the space it needs to develop. However, what with the Common Linnet's success in 2014, I'm more hesitant to make that judgment. Given the change in the voting system, and how I suspect the juries might actually really love this one, that one small pocket of fans, and the impact they might have on other fans, that might be enough to push this one into the top 10 after all. Ultimately though, if this song is performed in between two of the hot favourites, so if it sits in between Norway and Hungary, or Iceland and, I don't know, Spain or someone, or if the staging is too particularly lacking, then it might fall short. But otherwise, I dare say it's something of a wild card, just by way of not being everyone's cup of tea. It's a risky maneuver, and I can respect that. Because, as I said, It's not my cup of tea personally, but I can see why people like it. And I can appreciate its general aesthetic and how well written it is. It doesn't have broad appeal, but for those that it appeals to really strongly. And that's the hallmark of a well-written song. So I will say, good luck to you, Netherlands. It's, within its genre, it's a strong offering. We'll just see how people respond to it on the night. So, see you in Stockholm.